Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Larry with House of Akoti and bringing to you today another quick tutorial. Gonna sew this dress up in one day, and it's an old-fashioned favorite of mine. I usually sew it at least a couple times a year between the fall and the winter. It's McCalls 7999, and I'm pretty sure you guys are very acquainted with this pattern. And when I've sewn all versions, but I usually sew version C, the turtleneck version, and it's pretty much a midi length, can be full length depending on your height. And let me share with you what I've got on the cutting table here. Okay, so here on the cutting table there's only 4 pieces. I have the front here cut on the fold. I have the back 2 pieces here cut, and I love the color blocking pattern here. The front, it's like a chocolate pattern with your tans, your off-whites, a little bit of the blue that peeks through, and then the back you've got more of the blue, and then the sleeve has a contrasting of both. I did do this whole cutout feature of the sleeve here. Not sure what that's going to look like, but I just thought it would be kind of cute for like a cold shoulder effect there. And I also have the turtleneck portion here for the collar. So it's very quick. There's only 4 pieces. I probably will cut out the same, just a little bit shorter, for the front and the back to do the lining. This fabric isn't super thick, but it's really nice and soft. It's like a rayon knit, just really pretty, very soft. So, and this is the pattern again, McCalls 7999. These are my pattern pieces. Again, I like to trace my size from the original pattern so that it's, preserved. And I've had this for at least, a good 4 years. But I have sewn this up at least once more on the channel if you want to take a look at that. But again, follow me along as I sew this beauty up. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is take the front, and I have my notches marked here with my scissors. I've just did a little slit at the top so that the shoulder seams will match. So I'm going to turn the back and the front together, right sides together. And I'm going to start with matching up the notches here. So I just like to line those notches up. Sometimes when I serge, my notch disappears, so I use my tailor's chalk to go in to extend the notch, so that's easier for me to find. I'm just gonna use about 4 of these across the shoulder. 4 to 5 should be enough. And same thing to the other side. I'm gonna match up the notches first. All right. So again, depending on the length of the width of your shoulder, it's about this stage where I usually base most of my seams, and then I kind of go in to check the fit. So if I have to take in the back a little bit more because it's cut in 2 pieces, it's a lot easier to do that at this point, and as well as the shoulder, so that it's not leaning over too much on the side, like hanging over the shoulder. I'd like to test at this stage as well. So I have about 1 additional notch here, right underneath the bust area. And I think there was 1 also at the hip. So I like to just mark or pin up to that area and I do that on each side. And then basically just sew up the shoulder seam, sew up the side seam, and test it. That's it. All right, so you want to make sure everything lines up all the way to the bottom. Because this is knit, I like to go to the bottom first, and then I put another pin there to make sure that lines up. Excuse me. And then I start basting those seams. All right, for those of you that are new, please consider joining the channel by hitting that like button and subscribing. All right, so moving on to the seams. So I have my longest machine length set at 6 here, the basting stitch. And I'm just gonna base the side seams, and I already did the shoulder seams. And after sewing this up at the 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, I'm gonna test the fit. And if it's too big, I can go ahead and take it in more. Or if it's too small, I can always make the seams larger, bigger seam allowance. I'm gonna do this on both sides. So this dress is just a really quick sew, something you could do, and if you sit there consistently, you can probably finish within, you know, a couple hours. And that does not include, of course, your pattern making if you're having to adjust your pattern. But definitely something you can do in a half a day with all of that. As I get to the bottom, I just want to make sure I have met the front and the back so that those are both even. I remove my last pin and I just hold those edges together. All right, same thing on the other side. Okay, so I have the shoulder seams, I have the front and the back sewn together. Got the mannequin at my adjustments, you know, my bust, hips, and waist circumferences to test the fit. And I do that when I'm kind of in a hurry here. So that's the front. You can kind of see your chocolates, your creams, a little bit of the blues kind of peeking out there on the side. And I really love the back with the color contrasting because you've got more of the blue in the back and you can kind of see the chocolate detail as well. So I think that's going to be really, really cute. Just a beautiful rayon knit fabric for this fall and winter wardrobe. So the only thing left to do, I don't think I'm going to put a lining. Once it came together, felt pretty good. I think it's going to be a little bit too heavy. I did put a lining in this last year and the dress was really heavy, even though that fabric was a little bit thicker. But I think it'll be fine. It's definitely not a see-through. So even if I have to do a pair of leggings or something with boots, I think it'll work out great. So keep watching. Let's see how the sleeve detail turns out. Again, it was just a pattern modification done at the last minute with a little hole detail, keyhole detail at the top for a cold shoulder effect. So I think it'll be really cute. Okay, so moving on to the collar, I have right sides together. I have it folded here across the fold line, and I have all of my notches marked. So I want to make sure that I line up the notches on the collar along with the notches that I have here along the neckline. I've got one here and also one here. And that's really important for the proper stretch to make it fit snugly. Okay, so once I've stitched at my 5/8 of an inch seam allowance across this area here, I'm going to turn it wrong sides together. So basically I'm going to flip this part out like a tube, right? So that part's going to come out. I'm going to fold all of that together. I'll see if I could show you this a better. Okay, so once this is stitched along this line here at the 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, all of this is going to turn in on itself. So essentially it'll be wrong sides together. And from here, I'll be able to line up the seams once they're sewn and all of the proper notches together that you should already have marked, right? And then you can determine how much stretch you have. When I first sewed this pattern, I remember I'd always would fold the incorrect line on the pattern. I think one time I transferred to another sheet of paper and actually copied the wrong fold line. Okay, so I've got a lot of stretch here. So your head should be able to get through this portion of the turtleneck. That's the whole point. So you can test that before you sew it. Alrighty, so here is the final masterpiece. The only thing left to do is to do the final try on here and hem the bottom as well as hem the sleeves. And I may go in and tighten up around the shoulders here. It's not quite even along here because I do have the mannequin arms in, but I really like the detail of the little cutout keyhole here along the shoulder for the cold shoulder effect. I know usually it's along the shoulder line here. I've seen a little cutout detail, but I do want to try something different. But I'm just loving the color blocking of a little bit of the more of the navy blue. It's kind of sparse along the neckline, again a little bit throughout the dress itself and the sleeves, and then you see in the back it's full color blocking of the navy here in the back with a little bit of the chocolate detail. So again, this was just your classic McCalls7999. Really cute, just a classic dress for the fall and the winter. I make it at least twice a year. So those of you that are new, again, hit that subscribe button. Please like, give me your comments about what you think of the design, if you've sewn it up before, if you've made it in different types of fabrics. Again, I used a rayon knit, very stretchy material here. And thanks for watching. Have a great day, guys. Bye.